Hi, this is Linda, and I'm back with another video. I was on vacation for a few days, so I'm a little late getting to this one. But this is Talking in American English, Lesson 28. Remember I told you last time that I wasn't going to do just verb forms all the time. It seemed like I had been doing that for a while. So this one is another topic that when I'm in class, I see the need for. And then at the end, I will do a beginner tip for a few of my students who just started and know very little English. So I'm giving them something to look at also. But the main lesson for today is about the most difficult vowel sounds. This is for my beginning, my intermediate, and my advanced students. There are some vowel sounds that we've been working on, but we're still having a little bit of trouble with. So I'm going to do an extra focused lesson on those sounds so that when you are speaking, people will understand you better. It's been a problem that you say something, it's almost like we say it, but people are saying, what did you say? Would you repeat that? So I want to see if we can get past that with the lesson today in a few ways. Okay, so we have, first of all, this title, Lesson 28, Pronunciation of Those Difficult Vowel Sounds. Usually, you probably don't have these sounds in your native language, so you are substituting a sound that is in your language that's close. But when we're listening, American listeners, we don't quite get what you said, and you have to repeat and repeat. And usually it's something like this. Now we have, of course, the vowel sounds for A, E, I, O, U. When it's long, it says its name. A says A, E says E. Notice I'm doing a little E sound. There is something we do with vowel sounds that extends them a little bit. Either we change from a lower to a higher to a lower note, or add a little sound at the end that other languages don't like to do. You just want to say, oh, and we say, oh. You want to say, a, and we say, a. And it's confusing, so we need to practice that a little bit. But I'm not going over the long vowels right now. I'm just mentioning that that is also something we want to be able to do. So if we look at this one, we have the short A, the short O, and the short U. I'm not doing the other vowels because they're not as hard to pronounce in the American English way, but these are hard. And also this ow sound. And these are the ones that my students most often don't quite pronounce right. So I'm going to see if we can fix that today. So let's look at short A. Short A is the one I call the ugly A. And one way to get that sound is to think about what a sheep says, or the sound that a sheep makes. Bah, bah, that's the sound. It's cap, only you don't have to vibrate. Cap, and I go cap, cap. Bat, let me get it closer. Bat, fat, back, sad. Now think of a sheep going bah. So that's the sound you're making, ah. Now repeat after me. Cap, bat, fat, pack, sad. It's wide, jaws dropped a little, ah, and the tongue kind of bunches up, ah. See, I make my tongue thicker, ah. It's not ah, it's ah. Make the tongue thick and a little bit wider, ah. One more time, faster. Cap, bat, fat, pack, sad. Okay, looking at the short O, I've been trying to figure out how to get this one. I explain it as your mouth is relaxed, and you drop your jaw a little bit, and then you just say ah. It's not aw. It's not hot. It's hot. And the trick for saying that correctly is laughing with ha 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 ha, hot, ha ha ha, top, ha ha ha, stop. And sometimes that sound, it's the short O sound, but it's made with an A, like in what and want. I want what? What do I want? Wha ha ha, what? Water, wah ha ha ha, water, water. So this is the short O sound, and it's very relaxed. Do not pull your mouth in from the sides, and don't push your tongue down too much. Just drop your jaw. Ha. Say it after me. Hot. Top. Stop. What? Water. Okay? And then we go to short U. And I thought I had this figured out, and I would tell my students, it's the sound you make when you're thinking, and you just make a sound. Like we say, and I thought everybody did that. But I found out my students don't. In some languages, they say, eh. I had my students do that the other day. What is that sound you make when you're thinking? Eh. And they used it all the time. And I thought, oh no, that doesn't work. How do I teach The only thing I can do is to tell you that you're sitting there with your mouth totally relaxed and barely open. And then you get punched in the stomach. As in dust, butt, truck. You have to do something special with the R, because if you go by too fast, we lose it. Truck, up, run. It's not dust. It's not boat. It's not truck. It's dust. Repeat these. Dust, butt, truck, up, run. And then the OW, or sometimes it's OU sound, is this sound, like the sheep, ah, and then go to a long O. Ow, ow. Most people don't want to say that. They want to say how, or how. So if we say these words, it's how, like this A, how, cow, out, sour. Remember that R always gets its own sound. Sour, around. Say them after me now. How, cow, out, sour, around. So to review, the short A is at, like a sheep says, bat. O is ah, like ha ha ha. Dust is relaxed, not trying to do anything with your mouth, and someone hits you in the stomach. Dust. And then how, or the owl sound, is this sound, ah, and then an O. How. Here's a sentence you can practice that. And remember, the A sometimes makes the short O sound. Not always, but every once in a while, like in want and what. What, hot, bun, has. I put a Z there to let you know that's a Z sound. Remember A, when it's before a consonant, often we just say pat, of, the F sounds like a V, of, butter, on, top, ha ha ha, on. ta ha ha ta, ah 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 ha, ha ha ha. Oh, it's not in there anymore. Okay. Now notice that on this E right here, I just made it gray because when an R follows it like that, you don't even hear the E at all. It's but er. The double T often, when it's between two vibrating sounds, we change to D. So we pronounce it butter, butter on top. One more time. What hot bun has a pat of butter on top? Practice saying that sentence. Read it with me one more time. What hot bun has a pat of butter on top? Practice this sentence for the owl sound. How did the cow get out and run around? Say it with me. How did the cow get out and run around? Practicing these two sentences over and over will help you to be understood. Now, that's the main point I wanted to make in the lesson, but I want to point out that sometimes what should be a short A or a short O or a short U gets changed, and it's because of what follows it. R, M or N, W, and L sometimes change that short vowel sound, and so I'm going to give you a few examples. The normal way to say a short A is cap, ah. But if an R follows it, it often changes to car, aw, car, far, bar, star. It changes because of the R. The N and the M change the A just a little bit. Listen to cap, van, camera. It's a little bit more open, not much. And you may not even hear the difference. Cap, van, camera. And then a W will change it to aw, law. And L will change it to aw also, especially a double L, fall. So it's car, van, camera, law, fall. Instead of being care, van, camera. It's almost the same. Loud and foul changes to another sound. It's very weird. Okay. Then the ah sound. Top with an R, it's for. With an N, it's often a. Ton, sun. And then with the W, it either changes it to a long O, like tow. That's tow a car. If it breaks down, you have to pull it to the shop. Tow. Or it makes that owl sound that we just talked about, like in towel. And if there's an L following it, oftentimes it becomes a long O. Toll. You have to pay a toll to go across the bridge. And then the ones that end in LD, old, cold, others like gold, mold, fold. Normally you would think that would be a short O, but in these situations, because of the letter following it, it changes a little bit. Then the short U, which is doesn't change very often, like in cut. But if an R is following it, oftentimes it disappears completely. You don't even hear it at all. Curb. That's the edge of a road that's a little bit higher than the surface of the road. On the side, it's the curb. Herb. N doesn't change it, and M doesn't change it, and then W doesn't change it, but L does. Pull, bull, full. You have to pull your lips in a little bit. That's because of the L. Sometimes they change those sounds. Here are some sentences to practice with. She has a car and a camera. In the fall, he broke the law. The old man gave a towel to his cold, wet son. Maybe his son had been swimming and he came back in and he was cold. So the old man gave him a towel. He pulled a full wagon up. That's the normal you, but here it's different. He pulled a full wagon up to the curb. Okay, that's all about the vowels. Now let's look at the tip for beginners, those who are just starting English. But you may find this bit helpful to remember. Where are you from? That means where were you born or lived a long time before moving here? You would say, I am from the name of a city, or I am from the name of a state, or I am from the name of a country. I am from Dallas. I am from Texas. I am from the United States. Now, if you were born somewhere, but then most of your life you lived somewhere else, and then you moved and you go to the new place, so let's say you just moved to Kansas, but you were born in New York City, and for a while you lived in Texas. So let's say, I am originally from New York City. That's where I was born. But I moved here, Kansas, from Texas. I was 6 years old when I moved away from New York City, and I moved to Texas, and I've lived there all this time, but I just moved again to Kansas. So if I'm in Kansas and they say, where are you from? I'm originally from New York City, but I came here from Texas. Now, if they ask you where you're from and you're not new to the area, you would say, I'm from here. I'm not from somewhere else. I'm from here. You just didn't know that I was. Okay, the other question, where do you live? To answer that question, oftentimes you're going to use in or at or on. Where do you live now is what I'm asking. The simple answer is I live in a city, or I live in a state, or I live in a country. I live in Austin. I live in Texas. I live in the United States. And here's an example. I live in New York City. Now, if I use at, I'm giving you a specific spot. This is where I exactly live. I live at, and I'm going to tell you the number of the building or house that I'm in, and then the street, and then if I have an apartment number. I made this up. This is not a real address. I live at 123 Main Street, apartment 24 in Los Angeles, California. That's my address. And I answer the where do you live? Where do you live? With I live at 123 Main Street, apartment 24, Los Angeles, California. But if you ask me that, and I don't want to tell you exactly where I live, I would say I live on a street. If you're in the same town with me and we meet at the store and you ask me, where do you live? I might just tell you the street. In that case, I would say, I live on the street. I live on Main Street. I live on Main Street. You don't know exactly where I live. This is the one that tells exactly where I live. This tells in the whole big state or the whole big city or the whole big country. So it's very general. I live in there somewhere. I live at, very specific. I live on just a street, somewhere on that street. Okay, that's the end of the beginner lesson, answering where are you from, where do you live, and I will see you next week. Thank you.